Welcome, Dr. Ross Greene, here to PUSSELFAMILJEN. We're very honored to have you with us today.
I'm pleased to be with you.
We're going to focus today to talk about the 2 days of webinar you will have for us here in Sweden, and it's the 10th of August and the 11th of August.
That
And we're
is
going to
correct.
focus on that today. But I would love to start to say thank you from the bottom of my heart about, what it changed for our family when we started to work with your approach and the way you, what you think is a very good approach for these children. And I know I share that with a lot of other families all around the world and a lot of school personnel as well. So I just like to take the opportunity to say thank you very much for that.
Thank you. That makes me feel very good.
I'm glad. So your amazing thoughts and everything. I would love to just start talking a little bit about your background. Could you give us a little bit about who you are and your background?
Yeah, I'm a child psychologist. Been doing this for a very long time. Was originally trained in the behavioral mentality, but moved away from it fairly quickly. When it became clear that if you're focusing on a kid's behavior, you're focusing on what's late. And we don't want to be late. That puts us in crisis management mode. We'd rather be early, which is crisis prevention. And early means focusing on the problems that are causing a kid's concerning behaviors and solving them. So I shifted from being in behavior modification mode to being in problem-solving mode. And that, of course, has been defining my work for a very long time.
Yeah, and we're very thankful for that you moved on to that. And that also taught us, I think, a lot of us as parents to look at the things, what happens before the breakdown comes or to what happens. If we talk about these 2 days of the webinar, what do you think the parents in this case can expect from these 2 days?
On the first day, they can expect an overview of the entire collaborative and proactive solutions model, including the key themes, which are very important because they represent some big paradigm shifts for a lot of caregivers. And then the assessment tool that we use in the model to help people identify what we call the information that's been missing, lagging skills, unsolved problems. And then we'll go through the problem-solving process and watch some video. And then on day 2, we will take a deep dive into the problem-solving process, what I call Plan B, to look at many of the nuances and technicalities of solving problems collaboratively and proactively with kids.
So your model is called CPS, right? And that is what it stands for.
Collaborative and proactive solutions, correct.
Exactly, yeah. And that mindset, what you're going to go through over these days is going to be able to help with these families with a lot of things. Would you say, if you would say something like, what type of problems can we help these families with?
You name it. We're not too picky. Any problem that is causing concerning behavior, any problem that is causing conflict between a parent and a kid, any expectation the kid is struggling to meet. We're really not very picky about the problems that we solve in this model. Truth is, this model could probably help world leaders solve problems that seem very big so that people stop killing each other. In the case of families, we'll go with the things that are just causing conflict.
So you think it's going to be easy for the parent to use this model because it will change the way they think about meeting their children, or how do you think?
Well, I think that there's the mentality and then there's the technicalities. The mentality, probably the biggest part of the mentality, is kids do well if they can. Because a lot of parents have a different mentality. Kids do well if they wanna. That leads them in a completely different direction when it comes to thinking about why their child isn't meeting some of their expectations. and leads them to strategies aimed at making kids meet their expectations or motivating kids to meet their expectations. Kids do well if they can, which is the mentality of the CPS model, says that if this kid could do well, this kid would do well. Something must be getting in the kid's way. And the most important role for us as caregivers is to figure out what's getting in the kid's way. And often, the more you try to force a kid to meet an expectation, the worse things get, because forcing doesn't really address what's making it hard for the kid to meet a particular expectation.
Mm. And I must say, if I look at my own family with myself and my husband, I think we were a little bit more conservative in the way we were bringing up our children until we realized that it wasn't going that well, as it would work different from a lot of our friends, you know, with their children. And we realized we're not coming anywhere with the way we were acting with our children. And so starting to work with your model or your way of approaching these children totally changed our whole family dynamic. Is this something you feel familiar with a lot of the families you work with?
Well, some families all families come to me because what they're doing now isn't working. Sometimes what isn't working is they are trying too hard, the parents here, to stick with strategies that aren't working very well. And it actually takes a lot of courage to take a step back and say, what we're doing isn't working. What we're doing with one of our kids isn't working for the other of our kids. What the neighbors are doing that's working with their kid isn't working for our kid. And you know what? That's okay, because kids are different. We're not the neighbors. We don't have their kid. Even our kids within our family are different. We need to meet each kid where they're at and do what's going to work for each kid. That actually takes a lot of courage. It actually also takes a lot of courage to not parent the way you might have been parented. The way you might have been parented may have worked for you, may feel right for you, but if you're trying to be responsive to the hand you've been dealt, we've got to figure out what's going to work for this kid.
Mm. It's definitely so. And also this, for example, we talk a lot about in Sweden that we use it for example, we put in the A basket, the things that we always, you know, we will always we will always take the fight for that. And for example, and then, you know, if everything will be in the C basket, and then we will pick one thing at the time to work on. And I feel in our family, a lot of the times it's been just enough to actually take something at a time, because a lot of the things that we were thinking that the children should be able to meet with our expectations, it didn't work that we were working with all of these ones at the same time. So
Yes.
taking one, do you have any thoughts about that, where we can be helped with that?
Well, if it's a child for whom there are many expectations that they're having difficulty meeting, you're not going to be able to work on everything at once. One of the reasons that all those problems don't get solved is because we're trying to solve them all at once. We're trying to solve them in the heat of the moment. Very bad timing. We're trying to solve them through sheer force of our will, or what you called plan A, right? Well, the name of the model is collaborative and proactive solutions. As you learned, sheer force of your will often just makes things worse. It's not collaborative. And the proactive piece is we don't want to do this in the heat of the moment. When a highly predictable problem pops up yet again, and we can't solve everything at once, especially if there are quite a few expectations that a child is having difficulty meeting. It's going to be one at a time.
Yeah. So, I mean, with all of these things that we are, you know, that we will learn during these 2 days, we feel super, super excited. And what is the biggest gain, would you say, for us as parents to participate in these 2 days?
A better relationship with your child, better communication with your child, and far less conflict.
That sounds like music in my ears.
Life is good when we achieve those three things. And what's interesting is in the CPS model, we achieve those things by not being reactive, but being proactive, by giving kids voice. But the kid isn't the only one who has voice. The adult still has voice as well. But by partnering with kids on solving problems rather than using power and control to try to accomplish anything. That's how I find we improve relationships, improve communications, and start solving the problems that have been causing conflict for a very long time.
And I must say from my own experience, it also was when we started working like that, all of a sudden we could also see that the children had a lot of good solutions. And when they came up with some solutions themselves together with us as parents, of course, also, I think everything landed in a much better way of where we wanted to go in the first place. So I guess this is part of the whole thing of what we're trying to achieve here.
Not only do they have good ideas, but they are able to listen to us better under one condition. We start listening to them better.
Yeah. That I think a lot of us will learn a lot during these 2 days. These 2 days in August.
It's a very full 2 days.
Yeah. We can't wait, and we really hope a lot of parents will join us during these 2 days to learn more, and that it will end up having a much better relationship with their children and achieving all of those, the approach that you work after, which is fantastic.
I hope so too. I'm looking forward to it myself.
It was lovely having you here with us today, and take care, and we will see you in a little bit over 1 month's time.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.